Welcome to the Marketing Power Hour. And do we have a power panel prepared for you today? No matter the industry, a company's brand is its single most important asset. It drives overall business strategy and performance. Branding itself exists as the nexus between psychology, art, and science. There's a whole lot more than a logo. My name is LaShawn Middlebrooks Collier from the Florida SBDC at Florida Gulf Coast University. I help clients engineer an impossible to ignore business presence by leveraging the art of branding and the science of systems. We won't be talking about branding today, but our panel is going to be talking more about marketing itself and how you might be able to sustain the pivot by utilizing critical marketing information that they will share with you today. Let's get started. I did want to introduce you all to our marketing panel today. On our team of marketers is Taylor Kennedy and Kenny Harper and Orlando Espinosa. I want to give you a little bit of background on each of our speakers today. I'll start out, I guess, with Orlando. You will find his charisma and passion to be a hallmark of his personality and also his approach to empowering business owners to grow their business. He's unforgettable. Once you meet him, you'll never forget him. Welcome, Orlando. We also have on today's panel Kenny Harper. He is teaching us all about automation and AI, which is certainly a trending topic on the top of all of our minds during this time. And if you really ask yourself, do I want better results from my marketing efforts without stress and overwhelm? Maybe automation and AI for you. Kenny is great at helping businesses to maximize their return on their marketing investments and their sales efforts by implementing a proven framework so that you can cultivate predictable and scalable results in an efficient and structured manner. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have Taylor Kennedy. His specialty is helping businesses develop an online presence that acts as an economic engine for your business. Super important. He'll help you to create high quality SEO friendly content that will help you get ranked in search engines. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today for this panel. So let's get started with our presentations.
Greetings. My name's Orlando Espinosa, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about guerrilla marketing and the value of what guerrilla marketing is. It's a form of marketing which pretty much uses unconventional methods of promotion to engage audiences. The great thing about guerrilla marketing is that it's cost effective. It actually allows small businesses to compete with larger companies because this is all based on creativity and how it is as a business owner that you can actually use your creativity to assist and help yourself when it comes to marketing. I know a lot of times business owners get overwhelmed because they're trying to figure out what it is that they need to do. The great thing about guerrilla marketing is that it pretty much just empowers you and it allows you to take control of your marketing. So let's go over a couple of different types of guerrilla marketing. The first one is the undercover or the stealth marketing. I'm not going to go into the definition because you can actually see it on the screen, but pretty much undercover stealth marketing is what you would see, let's say, within the movies. If you saw the movie Castaways, FedEx was front and center all over in the movie E.T. Reese's Pieces was actually part of it. And if you look at the Italian Job, you see elements of the Mini Cooper all over the place. And that's one of the main ones that you as a business owner, you can actually think about what type of stealth marketing you want to do. The other definition is astroturfing. So astroturfing pretty much highlights where you can actually come in and make something believable by way of paying people to come in. And sometimes it's not the most ethical thing to do, but you can see the definition. And it's pretty much when you look at McDonald's, when in Japan, when they were actually opening up a new McDonald's, they actually paid some of their employees to stand in line because they wanted it to appear as if it was extremely popular, that people were just waiting to get their hands on a new burger that was coming out. And this is where actually Comcast also came in and paid people to come in and sit in a hearing to pretend or present themselves as if it was really vital that Comcast would actually be able to come in, and there was a deep need for what Comcast was doing. And even though astroturfing may not be the most ethical thing to do, but it's pretty much the illusion that something that's popular that really isn't popular. Ambush marketing, I think ambush is probably one of my favorite. So when you look at it, it's marketing that actually another company is doing, and by way of the definition, and you can read the definition, but then you go into ambush marketing. And if you look at ambush marketing, Fiat actually knew when Google Map was actually around the neighborhood. They actually parked their Fiat right in front of Volkswagen. Pretty much the ambush aspect of a Galaxy in Australia, when the iPhone, which I don't know which version was coming out, what they did was that they actually put a kiosk and they actually started selling their phones at a reduced cost. So what ambush marketing does, it actually looks at what other companies are doing, and they come in and they actually present themselves in order to compete with what it is that's being done. Another one is ambient marketing. And this is pretty much an essence of giving people the experience that they're there, that they're experiencing it. So the way that it feels like. So if you look at ambient marketing, it highlights where there's an existence. So if you look at the image through one of the manholes in New York, specifically, McDonald's came in and they put a cup of coffee over the manhole, or even with Axe, you look at, gives the illusion that people are really excited. So pretty much what it does, it actually combines the elements of, and the great thing about this is being creative with what it is that you want to do. And another one that's actually people are trying to get their hands on, it's the experiential marketing, where this is one of the hardest one to define. But if you look at the images itself, what's done here is in Brazil, for some of the showers, Sprite actually came in and put dispensers there where people were actually showering within what seemed like a dispenser of actual Sprite, but it was actually water, but it gave the illusion. And then what IKEA did was that they had on Facebook, they actually had a contest, because people started writing how would it be like and what would it feel like to be able to stay a night at an IKEA store. So what IKEA started doing was running a marketing campaign. And by way of that marketing campaign, they went in and started asking their customers where would be the most ideal place for them to stay. And what they did was that in the contest, they gave their customers an opportunity to come in and stay at an IKEA store. So some of the other images that you would want to see or highlight within it's the Superman. It's actually look at some of the different examples of guerrilla marketing. You have Superman, that what they did was when they opened the elevator door, you see the actual Superman opening up his actual coat or suit. Then you look at Nikon. Red carpet, where you actually see people walking on the red carpet and it gives the illusion that they're actually having someone take a picture of them. The same thing with the 3M security glass. And what 3M did actually was they stated that if you can actually break the glass, you could keep the money in there. And this was done at a bus stop. So there's different things that you can do. And sometimes you may say, well, how cost effective is this? This looks like it's really expensive. Remember, the purpose of the workshop is to allow you to understand that you can think outside the box, that you don't have to limit your thought process. This is one of my favorites for Alzheimer's erasers, for people to actually, these are USBs that you can actually hand this out and it's your memory save them. It's all about being creative with your marketing, and this is not one size fits all. This gives you an opportunity to do something different. Another one, if you look at this rock station, free air guitars, take one. It gives the illusion of everybody wants to be a musician. Everybody wants to play in a band. And one of the most popular guerrilla marketing was the Ice Bucket Challenge. That if you see when the Ice Bucket Challenge started, It's something that went viral, that people were actually challenging other people to come in and do the ice bucket challenge by way of ALS, and it would benefit ALS. But if you look at in 2013, they raised $1.7 million, but something that went viral, they raised 11.4 million because of the impact of what they did when it came to using their creativity. So one of the encouraging things that I always encourage businesses to do is to be different. Go ahead and be different. Don't overcomplicate it. Think about what it is that you can do that does not fit the norm. Look at what it is that you're capable of doing. So what can you do that's different? You can connect and collect. You can learn. You can build relationships, be of service. Don't sell, help, analyze, follow up, listen, teach. There's a lot of great things that you can do as a business owner to come in and understand what are the values when it comes to your business. So one of the things that we encourage people to do is a couple of steps. Number one, the secret of guerrilla marketing is be committed, be persistent, be invested, be consistent, because that's what people want when it comes to your marketing message, especially when it comes to guerrilla marketing. Use your imagination. What you can't do is sit idle. So brainstorm, be creative, involve others, create a game plan when it comes to, this isn't something that's done overnight. Focusing on the advantages. So what is unique and memorable about your business? What is cost effective? Engage with customers, build brand awareness. The other thing is build an online community. The moment that you actually convert people and you start a conversation, you're going to grab their attention. They're going to give you feedback. They're going to get buy-in because they believe in you. They believe in your brand. And the overall goal is you attract them to become your ambassadors. That's the value of guerrilla marketing, because you're starting a conversation and you're doing something that's different. And harness the power of the public. The moment that you start building relationships, the moment that it becomes an emotional connection, you make it interactive, you captivate the actual audience. And once you have them captivated, then you convert them. And that's why when it comes to guerrilla marketing, you are in control of what you want to do. It's not one size fits all. It's about you coming in and taking advantage of it. And the last thing that I want to highlight is make it virtual and take it viral. So if you do a webinar, if you blog, if you do a video, make it interactive. If you want to create a live stream, what COVID has done, what this pandemic has done, it's given people an opportunity to be creative and to design something that's different, because what you're doing is that you're connecting with your audience. In the past, people would come into your brick and mortar. Maybe right now, what you've done is that you've turned your brick and mortar into more of a virtual experience. The great thing about guerrilla marketing is that there isn't anything there that remotely means that you can't do something that's different. So the moment that you become invested in what it is that you're doing, it becomes easier for you. The moment that you come in and you realize, I can use any guerrilla marketing tactic that I want. So whether you come in and say, hey, I've grown my business by way of asking referrals. How many people ask for referrals? How many people actually build relationships? How many people actually develop gift certificates or create gift certificates or create samples or offer 100% money back guarantee? When you look at what some entities have done, if you look at Amazon, what Amazon did was, in their tactic was that people used to fill up the shopping carts and they would leave them there. And then what did they do? They created Amazon Prime. And from there, that took on its own value, because people now, if they're not getting something delivered within 2 days, they're not going to buy it. So as a business owner, what is it that you can do in order to come in and do something that's different? Maybe it's create a sheet, create an award, conduct a contest, collect testimonials, get a journalist to write about you, find unique ways to thank customers, show an interest in customers' needs, give a freebie occasionally, create a newsletter, cooperate with other businesses, use competitors' coupons against them. The great thing about guerrilla marketing is that there isn't anything there that specifically states what you can and cannot do. And you can use the creativity to any level of what it is that you want. The one thing that I would encourage you is, what strategies can you actually create? What is it that you can do in order to make something different, to make something grow and something scale for the purpose of your business? The overall goal is making sure that you as a business owner understand that you do have a choice and you do have that creative flexibility to create something that's different. So you can do the digital marketing, you can do the SEO, you can actually use all of the other aspects, platforms, But the great thing about guerrilla marketing is that it allows you to be in control of what you want to create, and it allows you to be different and to create something that's going to be unique to your business. And you're going to fashion that by way of the influence that you're going to get by way of your customers, and by way that you're going to get of the people that are looking to be part of the brand that you're actually trying to market and share. Once again, name's Orlando Espinosa. My email is there if you want to ask any questions, but thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Kennedy, and I am a consultant here at the SBDC and the UNF region. And today, I'm super glad to be here and be in front of you to present some information on how to optimize your website to be SEO friendly. Before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and my specialty, which is helping small businesses with their online presence. And this can range from websites to social media to Google My Business to Google Ads. Anything digital, you name it, I do it. So I have a few tips today. And the first one we're going to talk about is focusing each page around one particular topic. And this is important because you don't want to confuse your visitor or Google about the content that's on the page. When people are making Google searches, they're looking usually typically for one specific thing. And if your pages may have that information on there, but other topics as well, Google can get confused and actually may not know how to rank your page specifically. For example, if your company has services listed on their website and they're all on one particular page, Google may not know about all the different services that you offer. But if you break them out into separate pages, Google can understand your services a lot better and help rank your pages better based on the services that you offer and the content that's on those pages. This has actually helped many clients increase their rankings and visibility on Google and other search engines. Tip number 2, which kind of goes in line with tip number 1, is performing keyword research. It's important to know what people are looking for. And Google, the average amount of words that are typed into the search bar are 3. So it's important to know what those words are capable of. And this can be even with S or plurals or, INGs on the end or whatever it may be, different suffixes. So it's important to know exactly what people are typing into Google or any other search engine. And you want to use these particular keywords in your page titles and meta descriptions, which those are what show on the Google result page. And you also want to use them in your headings and in the content itself. The first 100 words on the page are the most important for keywords as well. So for example, we're going to take hot sauce. So you want to perform keyword research on hot sauce. So you want to see, are people looking for subscription hot sauces? Are they looking for the best hot sauce? But not only that, but when you're performing the keyword research, there's a thing called keyword difficulty, which is usually given to you in a percentage form. Now, it's important to understand these percentages because if you're trying to rank for a word like Frank's hot sauce, it's going to be very difficult because Frank's Red Hot Sauce is a nationally recognized brand. So it's going to be really difficult for your website to rank for that. But there's other keywords out there that people are typing into Google that are much easier for your website to rank for. This has helped many clients implement the right keywords and phrases into their website so they can get found on Google itself. Now let's talk about tip number 3, which a lot of people tend to forget about this, and it's updating your website. It's important for visitors to see the most up-to-date information and make sure your content is in working order. There's so many times that, links break and images and videos break, and it looks really bad from a visitor standpoint to see a website with broken content. Google also takes this into consideration. Another piece I'd like to always kind of mention are blog posts. And when we start blogging, we're all gung-ho and want to keep posting. And then maybe we fall off for a couple years. Well, Google actually takes that into consideration when you have 1 or 2 or 3 blog posts and then you don't make a post for 2 to 3 years. Google says, well, maybe this website isn't active anymore, or maybe your blog posts in general. It'll actually hurt your rankings. So Google will penalize you for actually not making updates. And I do recommend making updates about once a month. And a lot of times people have websites built that maybe they don't have access to. I will tell you, it is extremely important for you to ensure that you have your website access or to the back end so you can make edits yourself. We don't always want to rely on our website company. Even though they may be great, you still need to ensure you have access to your website just in case anything happens. This has also helped clients show progress on projects, but also updating the website lets Google know that your page is still active. Now, let's talk about backlinks a little bit. And this is a term that not too many people are familiar with. And you can kind of see down on the image at the bottom that a backlink is when your website is linked on another website. And it's important for websites to be mentioned on other credible websites. For example, if a local news station does an article on your business or something like that, they'll typically have a backlink. And it's good for you to be able to be seen and be visible on other credible websites, so it's easier for you to get found. And as you can see, this has helped clients get found on their websites that maybe people are going to these articles and reading about this particular information, and then they have a link to your website and the person clicks it. Well, now they just found your website, which is important, right? Because we want people to come to our website. We want them to know what we do. So obtaining backlinks is one of those things that a lot of people don't know about that can really actually take a lot of consideration into your SEO and your Google rankings itself. Tip number 5 is going to be Google My Business. And this is important because even though it's not directly on your website, when people are searching for your business or businesses like yours, your business may show up on that right side. And that's what Google My Business is. It's when you make a Google search and the business pops up on the right side. And you can see updated posts, hours of operation, contact information, the location of the business. And the biggest part that I really like, that I think a lot of other consumers like too, is reviews. They want to see that other people have had good experience. And a lot of times when someone is doing research on your company or trying to figure out about the services that you offer, they want to see that other people have had good experiences. So they'll read through those reviews. And Google My Business has actually been able to pull in reviews from like Facebook and other social media channels that'll pop up into your Google My Business. Something also important to remember about reviews is when people make them, that you need to respond to them. And Google has made it even easier for people to make reviews now. And you can actually have a link directly to a review. So after you perform a job or sell a product, you can email the consumer and post that link in there asking for a Google review. And I'll tell you, it's extremely important to get these. And sometimes it's hard to get people to do them, right? So there are other ways that you can get people to actually fill out these reviews for you, which can make a huge difference if your next consumer who's looking at your business goes with your services or your products over the competitors. This has actually helped a lot of businesses get found on Google, which also helps legitimize their business to consumers as well. So I did want to leave you with a little piece of nugget or a little nugget for information today. And it's where can you find help with SEO? And there's this company called SEMrush, which is one of like the online leaders for digital marketing. And they put together a free course on the fundamentals of SEO. And it's taught by a guy named Greg Gifford. It's all fully online, so it's self-paced and it has little quizzes at the end. But you can kind of see here in this image that it talks about search engine basics, technical SEO, link signals, on-page signals. So this is a really great course to just kind of get some foundation for SEO and learn about the basics of it. So just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the presentation and hopefully look forward to connecting with you. Thank you.
We have a lot to cover in a little time, so let's get going. As mentioned, my name is Kenny Harper, and I'm going to be sharing some tips and strategies that you can use to create predictable sales with marketing automation. If you're not really certain what marketing automation is, well, definition says it refers to technologies designed to more effectively market on multiple channels online and automate repetitive tasks. I'm a certified marketing advisor, business development expert, co-founder of Rock My Image, and I've written a lot of books and done a lot of things with marketing automations. And I share that with you because I can help guide you through this process. There are so many different platforms out there. It can be confusing which way to go and what to do. Good thing is, it's less about the platform. It's more about the strategy behind the platform. So you may be wondering, how can you use marketing automation? You can use it to increase engagement. You can use it to generate leads. You can use it to improve sales conversions. You can use it to improve the number of transactions per customer. You can use it to increase revenue and ultimately increase profits. It's really, really powerful. It could transform your business. And sometimes people get overwhelmed because there's so much possibilities of what they could do. They don't know where to start. But just like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. So the top two benefits of marketing automation is to save valuable time, right? And achieve better results. So if you're looking to save time or achieve results, keep taking action. So the challenge we're looking to overcome is, without doing things consistently, we can lead into unpredictable results. With marketing, we could come across being too salesy, and that could burn a lot of time and money. Where we want to go is to be predictable, come off as a trusted advisor, and really create something that is profitable. Now, this is a great book. If you haven't heard this book, I highly recommend it. This is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And one of the distinctions that is made in this book is goals are good for setting a direction. So you may have goals for your business. You may be looking to increase the amount of sales. You may be looking to increase the revenue or profits, or you may be looking to save more time so that you can be more effective in doing the things that are most important. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. Okay, so this is a book about habits, creating good habits to be more efficient and effective. So what I'm going to share with you is really starting the conversation about setting systems and using marketing automation to make it run like an engine. Now, here's something to avoid. You may recognize this little icon, this little emoji is our little friend, the poo. Garbage in, garbage out. Do not automate broken processes. It's very tempting. People hear automation, they see automation software, they think, I'm going to just get that automation software and it's going to just fix everything and make everything work and be that much more efficient and effective. Well, if you put in poo, you're just going to get automated poo. So we've really got to think about the strategy beforehand and make sure that you have that process clear and effective beforehand, and then you automate it. Makes sense, right? All right. So what I'm about to share with you now are 3 pillars to success. If you're looking to get predictable sales, you really need to have these 3 pillars down and make sure that you're implementing them in your business. The first pillar is the documented journey. What is a documented journey? It's kind of like the strategy or the recipe that attracts prospects and seamlessly and subtly guides them to become customers that pay, stay, and refer. The reason you want it documented is so that you can follow it and do it consistently. Have you ever seen those Pinterest fails where maybe somebody sees this great Cookie Monster cupcake and then they try to make it and it looks not so quite as good? If you haven't seen the Cookie Monster Pinterest fail, you can look it up on Google. But the thing is, a lot of times we see something, but if we don't follow the process the right way, we're not going to get the same results. So by having a documented journey and process, we can do it consistently, right? And then when we're doing something consistently, we can really start tracking and looking at the actionable metrics. The metrics that tell us, is this working? Is it being effective? Or could we improve it? This will help identify bottlenecks and untapped opportunities. And then last but not least, Then you have the tools and the tactics. This is the software, the platform that will help execute and make sure everything's working. It's important to have all three of these things, not just the tools. So again, I mentioned earlier, it's not just the software, because there could be software that you get and it has a lot of capabilities, but you want to make sure that you have the documented journey and that you're paying attention to the actionable metrics to really generate predictable sales. If you are missing one of these components, you're going to run into some challenges. If you don't have the right tools and tactics, if you don't even have automation software, you're going to be stuck in the mud. You're not going anywhere fast. If you're missing the actual metrics, you're not paying attention to see what's working, what's not. It's going to be like a bull in a china shop. There's a lot of activity, but you can't tell what's hitting and what's missing. And if you don't have that documented journey, then it's going to be like a one-hit wonder. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. But if it's not consistent, then there's the challenge. All right, so today, I can't cover all of these items, but I'm going to really dive into the documented journey, because this is the process that really can help with the sales part, right? So you need to think about crafting the flow of the customer. This is something that I'm certified and specialized in, and really thinking about, number one, who is your target audience? If you're saying I could serve anyone, then that's not really a target audience. You got to think about who specifically, because if you're speaking to different people, you might need to use different messages. CEO for a Fortune 500 company is going to be spoken to differently than if you're talking to maybe somebody who's just graduating college, right? So they have a challenge, they have a problem, and you want to be able to communicate that you have a solution and can help them solve that problem. And business is between people. It's about building relationships. If you come across too aggressive in marketing and just try to automate something and spam the heck out of somebody, you're going to push them away. However, if you don't try to progress the relationship forward, it may not go forward at all. So what we need to do is document the process to get awareness, to get on someone's radar. Let them know you're there. When you know who your audience is, make sure that you get your message to them so they understand that you're even around. Then we need a strategy that's going to engage, a strategy that will get them to know a little bit about who you are, what you're about, the purpose you serve, what makes your product unique, valuable over another. Turns a look into a stare, right? And then we want to get someone to raise their hand, right? You put something out there that will get them to say, hey, I'm interested in what you have to say. Just like any other relationship, you need to build and work someone and guide the relationship to progress it. If you get someone's information, you can then continue to follow up, nurture that relationship, and work to convert that person from being interested to inaction. This may be either giving a little bit of time or a little bit of money to start showing that they're not just interested anymore, they're actually serious. And sometimes this takes a little bit of time, because chances are the first time you engage with somebody, they might not be ready to do business right then and there. Maybe they were riding on the subway and they were just flipping through their phone. So we've got to think about how we're going to get that conversation going. And then we want to think about how we're going to excite them. Let them see the transformation that we could provide. Let them see how your service can really help them get what they want. That can guide them to take that initial action, grow the relationship, and eventually become advocates and promoters for your brand. When you document the strategy of how you can do this, that's how you can start putting it into automation. So first is documenting it. So here are the actions you can take from this, all right? So start small and build through time. Don't worry about everything that needs to be done. It's going to be overwhelming. We want to think about what are the most repetitive tasks that take time. And then document the flow. What does that process look like? Okay. Document the flow so that it's very clear. And then you could put it into action. You could put it into the automation software. This may be nurturing a relationship once they've filled out a form. This may be getting someone prepared if they're ready to do a consultation after they've scheduled an appointment. This may be onboarding someone who's just became a new client or customer, sharing them how they could be successful with your product or your service. This may be following up after they've received the benefit of your product or service, gauging their satisfaction, and maybe even asking for a review or referral. So you want to test, track, and refine. It is a process, but when you do that, you can optimize, and that's how you're going to be able to generate predictable results. So this has been a brief overview. We've had to do a lot in a little time, but my suggestion is, this is huge. If you take the time to document that process, then that is going to be the first path towards achieving the best result. Document the process. Then the next thing you'd want to make sure that you have a process in place to track the metrics for each of the stages to make sure that what you're putting into action is working. And then last but not least, you want to make sure that you put it into action by getting it into the platform or software that you're utilizing. So if you're interested in getting a resource that will help walk you through this process and provide more information to how you can automate your machine to run like an amplified engine, go to doubleyoursalesnow.com and grab your free growth guide. My name is Kenny Harper. I appreciate this time. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn.
I am so appreciative of the wealth of information that you guys have shared with us. Thank you. We know how important the topic of marketing is and how critical it is for our small businesses to be able to master this content. So I thank you so much. I am excited to move into the Q&A portion of this with our marketing master power hour or marketing power hour. So I'm going to go in and ask you some of the questions that have been submitted. So I really want to start out with automation and AI because it is all the rage today and it's trending. And sometimes it can be a little confusing. Automation being able to do things automatically and AI having machines and software mimic what we typically do as humans. But here's the one thing we don't want to do because we know how important it is to have that personal relationship with our clients. Doesn't automation make things seem robotic or lose the personal touch, Kenny?
Well, thank you for asking. And once upon a time, it may have been the case. The technology a few years back pretty much it did one type of response. And now with behavioral marketing, there is the ability to change the path of the automation based on a user's response. So for example, if they have visited certain pages, you can change how you're responding back to them and really personalize that experience. And a good example of this would be like Amazon. So think for yourself, who hasn't been on Amazon? And then when you buy something, what do they typically do? Well, since you like this, maybe you'd like this as well. And how many times have you actually been sold something else that you didn't intend to buy when Amazon did that? And they did it with good intention too, because they're not just aiming to sell something. They're getting to know who you are and then providing more value. So that's one thing there is with today's technology. It has become affordable for the small business owner to begin customizing that experience. The other thing to consider too is a lot of the times when you're getting started with automation, you may use automation for some tasks that are common, that are just kind of like moving the ball forward. And then you still want to get in the conversation and have that personalization in that relationship. It should not be replacing that, especially for maybe higher service-based businesses. But you can save a lot of time, be more efficient and effective, and even again, customize that experience to make it a better experience with automation. And the one thing I'll just put out there is kind of wrapping the thought together. It can be overwhelming because there's so many possibilities, but just like how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time, start small, and then just keep on making a little bit of progress with time it'll all add up and it'll be really impactful for your business.
Thank you for that, because you're basically saying you can't tell that it's robot. It feels like a really, really even more intimate personal relationship. And, we know that personalization is always a benefit. All right, great. Thank you. So I
Thank
want
you.
to kind of switch now from something that's trending to a type of marketing that's been around for a while. I love this topic because it's all about the element of surprise and being unconventional. Let's talk a little bit about guerrilla marketing, Orlando. What is it for people who've never heard about it before, and why is it important for a small business? Orlando, I'm just going to stop you for a moment because you're muted. Do you mind unmuting?
Yes, I will unmute. I actually kept myself muted when Kenny was responding just to make sure, that you didn't hear any sounds in the background. The great thing about, and to answer your question, the great thing about guerrilla marketing is that it actually does not require anybody to do anything that's conventional. It's pretty much an unconventional method to actually allow you as a business owner to have your brand interact with your customers, with your clients. And the great thing about it is that it actually allows you to be creative, where I think that a lot of businesses come in and they try to think about marketing. Marketing is always an afterthought, an after effect. And to, Kenny's point, I think that one of the main things that we have to come in and look at, is there's different elements, to marketing, there's different elements to actually create something that's different and unique, and where everybody else is probably doing the exact same thing. What guerrilla marketing does, it actually allows you to do something totally different. And of course, the reason why guerrilla marketing is so important is that it allows you to compete with larger brands that maybe have a larger budget. But the overall goal is that if you actually sit down and think and know who your actual customers are, you can come up with anything and everything. You can come up with prizes, you can come up with videos, you can use AI and incorporate it into your guerrilla marketing. So guerrilla marketing is just that sweet spot where it just gives you permission to just be creative and market your brand, so it will connect with with your customers and your clients, and let them be your spokesperson in order to market your brand effectively.
Great. Thank you so much. So once we've used our AI as a tactic, we've used guerrilla marketing as a tactic, we really still have to, it's so important for us to be found, because we know that our clients or our prospective clients, people who engage with our brands, they're usually trying to find a solution for something. So when they go online and they're typing in, searching for the problem for their solution, the only way for us to be found is if we're indexed somewhere. Taylor, what tools do you recommend for optimizing keyword search?
So there's a lot of really resourceful keyword research tools out there. Just to name a few of my kind of favorite ones is SEMrush, Word Tracker, Google Keyword Planner, and then just Google itself. So these are very important tools to incorporate as you develop your website, or even if your website's developed, to go back and research what people are searching for. Kind of like Orlando said, you got to know your customer and know what they're looking for. And when you do this keyword research, you're pulling out the words that are, higher search volumes, that are not so difficult to try and rank for. And sometimes that can not be easy as said as done, right? So, but some of these tools that I just named are paid, and some of them are free. But most of the paid tools do have free trials, and you could typically do a lot of your keyword research in a day or so. It's really kind of just, I like to tend to start broad and then get narrow, and seeing what really people are looking for and how you can incorporate that content onto your website. And you want to add these keywords in places like your page titles, your descriptions, your URLs, your headings, anywhere you could possibly put that word where it makes sense is what you'll want to do with keywords.
Great. I have a follow-up question for you, because you talked about the website and the keywords that are there. how often should our small businesses be updating their websites? I mean, like what comes after you build the website? Are there other tasks that need to be completed?
Sure, that's a great question. And I tend to recommend updating the site maybe once a month or once every 2 months. And I say that because you can update pictures, any new services or products you may be offering or projects you're working on and want to show progress. So updating the site is very important, but also Google looks at how often the site is updated. So if a website sits stagnant for 5 years or something and doesn't get updated, Google actually tends to penalize you a little bit on that. So as you're making updates, it's very important to also connect with Google Search Console and let Google know that you are making updates, especially if they're heavy updates like meta descriptions or incorporating keyword research.
All right, great. Thank you for that. I wanted to, okay, we're looking at this ecosystem of marketing, right? Guerrilla marketing, automation and AI, optimizing our SEO, our keywords, and our updating our websites. So this is a lot of information. I want to talk a little bit about some case studies. What happens when someone uses one of these tactics and they implement them well? Kenny, I want to go back to you. Let's talk about, or can you provide a case study of how automation and AI has helped the small business improve, get better marketing results by using automation?
Excellent. So this is a good question. And for the sake of this case study, I'm just going to omit the actual client's name and give the story of what the challenge was, what was done, and the result that it was able to achieve. So I was working with a CPA, and the challenge that they had is they were really busy. Well, obviously, it's tax time. They had a lot of things they're doing. They didn't have a lot of time to be following up and doing a lot of contacting and connections. They did want to get more ideal clients. A lot of the business that they're getting was referrals, which is good. It's great to get referrals. But some of the challenges with referrals is you may not be getting your ideal clients. You're just getting clients that are being referred to you. So we said, all right, who are your ideal clients? So once you define who it is that you're looking to connect with, then you can create a plan to get your message to the market. So the first thing we did was we set up a LinkedIn automation campaign to begin connecting with ideal prospects. You can do LinkedIn automation to start guiding people to be more aware of who you are, what you're about, the values you have, and the solutions you have to the challenges that they may provide. So she was able to get content out in a way that get people to know, like, and trust her, and then get people to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm interested in that tax saving guide that you put out there. Getting people to raise their hand for something that she provides value on. Now she has not just contacts, but she has leads. Leveraging a CRM, customer relationship manager, with automated marketing, she was able to put out messaging to, again, further guide people, sharing how she works with businesses, how she's able to help them save money in their taxes, how she's different than her competitors. Continually building that relationship, that value journey, moving people to understand, and then guiding them to say, hey, look, if you're looking for a free consultation. Now, before, she had a lot of wants to get ideal clients. Afterwards, she was able to get continually ideal clients, setting appointments with her that already knew her, already knew what she did, and were pretty warmed up by the time they started having those conversations. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening is she started getting more ideal clients that were more profitable, that were easier to work with. And by having more ideal clients in her client base, she started getting more referrals of ideal clients in her client base. So it took the time to get a strategy mapped out, put it into action, and do something that could be very focused on who she's getting attention to.
Yeah, thank you for that. And showing the power of that, because now we're not talking to cold traffic, right? We've got warm leads, We've got referrals that are better for the organization overall. And then that's when we can kind of move on to some of these other tactics built into our strategy. So tell me, Orlando, here we are, we've got a small business, they have better, you've got a lead pipeline coming in, right? And they're already warm. How and when should we use guerrilla marketing tactics and something like that? Can you provide an example?
I think that the main thing is that to understand, number one, who your target audience is. Once you understand who your target audience is, then you're going to actually be able to identify what they actually respond to. And it's going to require you to actually create a game plan. It's just not throwing something on the wall and seeing what's going to stick. It's actually creating a game plan to understand if your audience is going to respond to these tactics that you're actually using, and are you going to allow your customers to be the voice, to be the ones that are actually going to be promoting and talking about you? Because guerrilla marketing is so unconventional, you have to invite people into the conversation. You have to allow people to take ownership of your brand by whatever tactics it is that you're actually using. And then in return, these same people are the ones that are going to help you drive the campaign. The great thing about guerrilla marketing that it's just not a company coming in and just pushing out information or creating something that's actually different. It's about understanding that you have all of these customers and clients that are desirous to come in and talk about, listen, people use social media to interact with brands right now and to give their opinion and to talk about certain things. And the power of a brand is phenomenal when you allow other people to be those spokespersons. So the more people that you actually convert, the more people that believe in you and believe in the power of your brand, the easier guerrilla marketing is going to be. But the main thing that you have to focus on is you have to get the right client. You have to get the right client, and it's all based on timing. So it requires some a game plan. And then once you start the conversation, just turn it over and let other people be the one. So anyone that uses guerrilla marketing cannot be a control freak. You cannot try and be in control of everything, because people are going to take ownership of what it is that you're doing and be the first ones to actually out the gate and start promoting you, which is the best thing.
Very useful. Thank you. Orlando, you mentioned in your presentation a specific example of a guerrilla marketing tactic that you had used. I'd love for you to expound on that a little bit more. Can you give us a little bit greater detail?
My brother and my nephew actually own Espinosa cigars, and in South Florida. And one of the things that we were talking about, people that like to smoke, people that like to partake, it's a community, it's a family. So what we did was that we actually reached out back into our own youth. And we remember sitting down and being at home, and my mother, on a Sunday, after church, she's cooking and we're sitting there, we're eating, and my father is out there smoking his cigar and playing dominoes, and we're playing games. And what we did was that we just created that same atmosphere, and we created Lazona Palooza. So what we did with Lazona Palooza, we invited all of our friends, we invited people that were in the industry throughout the United States to come in and partake in that same family get together that we were part of. But what we also did was that we gave them an opportunity to help us design and pick the next cigar that we were actually going to be launching. So their voice mattered, their communication mattered. And the first year we had a great crowd. The second year it just got bigger, and it continues to get bigger. And then last year, unfortunately, due to COVID, we just had to go back to the drawing board, and we figured, hey, people are using, platforms such as Zoom and meetings and so forth to come in and talk. So what we would start doing is that we would actually start popping into some of these get-togethers that some of the shops had, that some of the aficionados had. And then last year we just did a virtual Lazona Palooza. But I think that the main thing is that when we started looking at the traction, we created a group on Facebook that's actually updated daily by way of the people that took ownership of the brands, our friends, because these people became our friends. And my brother and my nephew and their entire team, we're family, and being family, that's what people want. So this is something that actually has just expanded and grown, and people want more and people want more. And then from there, we came in and we created a membership, Espinosa Elite, because people were asking for a couple of other things aside from the cigars. They wanted some merchandise. So I think that the overall goal is sometimes just sitting back and tapping into your own talents and things that have worked for you personally and figuring out, because in this day and age, it's all about family. It's all about connection. And we were able to connect and grow to the point, and mind you, I'm not a smoker, but I believe in the power of family and I believe in the power of communicating. And that's what it is. We created a community that these people love one another. And I think that the aspect of them sharing, when people, are part of a tactic, when they long for those days and they want more and they become your voice. And I'm not going to go into the statistics of how many posts and sharing and all that stuff that they do on social media for us, but it is a family, what to do. And most of these people or all of these people are just amazing people that we've actually built family with.
Mm-hmm. I love that you shared your story and how you pivoted, right, during the pandemic, which is so apropos for our conversation here, because we're talking about sustaining the pivot. So that was fun. It was creative. It was also effective. But here's the thing, you have an advantage because you're a marketer. So for some projects and for some of our small businesses, they don't come in with that same expertise. They hire out marketing professionals to market the business. But what does the marketing professional handle? Who handles what? Let's talk about that a little bit, Kenny, especially as it relates to automation and AI. Kenny, hi, you're muted.
It's interesting. That was my ventriloquist act. We've got to acknowledge that the world has changed in this past year with the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the things that were working before aren't necessarily working now. And in fact, that really became apparent when approximately a year ago, everything hit the fan and some people were not knowing what to do. And they needed to take a step back and really look holistically at their strategy, at their game plan. Sometimes the challenges that I've typically see is when people may have an internal marketing person, or they're doing it themselves, or they're even hiring an agency or a professional marketer. These people may be really good at what they're doing. They may be great at the tactic that they're executing. Sometimes, however, there's a disconnect on if that tactic is the right area to focus on, depending on the situation and status of the business. And it's not always looked at. So that's one of the things I want to caution people if they already have an internal marketing team or even an agency. Sometimes tunnel vision can happen, and you could be working on something that maybe is productive, maybe it has a purpose, but it may not be the thing that is going to help move you furthest, the fastest. And so getting a alternative perspective on what you're doing, someone to give a second look, because everyone can get that tunnel vision. Mm-hmm. Everyone can get that blind side. And a lot of times there's things you don't know what you don't know. And making sure that you have a strategy that's actually working towards achieving your real goal. Mm-hmm. There may be, for example, people who are on social media, spending a lot of time on social media. They're going to a lot of different virtual events. They're connecting with a lot of people, but then they're looking at the results that they're getting from it, and they're like, this isn't really getting me anywhere. And maybe I make a contact here and there, but it's not something that is consistent and predictable. And if it's not something that you can grow and scale, then it may not be the right strategy. Mm-hmm. What I'm not saying is that social media is a bad thing or that virtual events are a bad thing. What I am saying is that you really got to look at the holistic approach. And what I like to tell people to do is look at everything down the field and then begin rating. It's all about rating. What is going to give the most impact? What's going to take the least amount of time, and what's going to have the least cost? And that kind of creates a priority score. You're going to have some efforts that may be short term, getting some results, and you may have some things like search engine optimization that's important that you do want to pay attention to, that Taylor is really expert at and can help give some guidance there. But it may take some time to see that needle moving and to get to where you want to go. So it's making sure that you're thinking holistically. Guerrilla marketing is great too. You want to have a strategy and plan to turn your contacts and customers to be advocates and promoter for your brand. I'll share one other quick story. I was connecting with a boat company. They do boat rentals, and they have been in business for a few years. They've built up a great customer base, but when taking a look at their marketing, what they weren't doing is they weren't looking at marketing to their existing customers. Mm-hmm. And they thought, well, why would we do that? We already have their business. They're already members. So that we really don't have like upsells or cross sells or anything like that. It's like, could you market to them and help them become advocates and promoters for your brand and help really build that community out? And that sort of approach, again, really became effective. So tying it all together, so when you can look at the holistic approach and know that you have a strategy for each point, then that's something you could put into automation. Mm-hmm. Right? So I mentioned this in my presentation. You don't want to automate something that isn't already kind of working. You want to make sure you have something that's working, it is the right thing, and then put it into automation. So that's my thought on that matter.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I really love the priority score, because there's so many different things out there that can be done. But once you take that and create, understand where you're going to get the biggest value, I think that that's really good, especially when some of our small businesses are wearing 17 hats, right? Or have a limited budget. This really helps them to understand where to provide focus. I think you have a question, Kenny?
I'll just add one more thought to that, because this is perhaps one of the biggest challenges I see most small business owners make. They are trying to do too many things at the same time. They're trying to kick off too many marketing efforts at the same time. And how many things can you do really good at the same time? And that what would be better is, less is more. Mm-hmm. So it's counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive because you think, if I want to get more results, I got to do more marketing. And at some degree, if you have the resources and budget to do that, you can scale. But if you don't have unlimited resources and an unlimited budget, you'd be better off doing a few things really good than trying to do a lot of things and being like a bumblebee all over the place and not really being able to get that consistent, predictable results. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's rampant and it's really easy to get caught into the latest trends. This new app coming out, new social media platform coming out, before you know it, you're spending time over here. You're having your team spend time over here versus really staying focused on what's working.
Mm-hmm. That's some sage wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is something that any and every small business could take advantage of. Zero barriers to entry and zero costs. Google My Business. But what do we put there? Taylor, can you tell us how to refine our efforts when it comes to Google My Business?
Yeah, so Google My Business is a great and free tool, like you mentioned. But I think it's one of those it's very underutilized. I think a lot of business owners create a Google My Business and go in there, fill out some information, and then kind of just leave it. Well, Google really likes it when you interact with their tools. So if you're making updates like posts and images, Google it goes into the algorithm and can actually help you rank higher on the Google My Business searches. In short, you want to update everything. But going into each setting, seeing what applies, if you're having special hours coming up, you want to make sure you post those. If you change addresses, you want to change those. If you're a service-based business, you want to ensure you include all of the areas that you service. Also, kind of going back to that keyword research, you definitely want to incorporate those keywords that people are searching for into your Google My Business. So this could be in the business description, into the services, the products, anywhere that it fits. So it's a really great tool. And like I said, I think a lot of business owners tend to kind of forget it's there or don't even know that it's there. But it's, free, and, it can actually get you a lot of visibility on Google itself.
Mhm. Thank you for that.
One other thing I did want to mention about that is reviews and responding to reviews in a timely manner too. I think it was Kenny that mentioned it, or Orlando, that said that people want to be heard. And when they post a review to your company, they want to know that they've been heard, and having a response to that, either thanking them or addressing if it's an issue, looks really good from a customer standpoint and from a business owner standpoint.
Just wanted to weigh in on that, because that's a great point. For those who may not be aware, you have the two trends in search engine optimization: the organic search and the local search. So if you're a local business, Google My Business is definitely something to pay attention to. It's a lot quicker and more easy to get results leveraging Google My Business. So as Taylor's mentioning, take advantage of that. I mentioned a moment ago, this is why I'm saying it, that search engine optimization can be a long-term game plan, and it's something you should do, and you should have a strategy for it. But you got to have realistic expectations. If you're in a really competitive industry and you want to put it into action, you want to make sure that that's not how you're planning on getting all your business immediately. But Google My Business is a lot easier to move forward. So I just wanted to make that distinction, because it's a great point that Taylor made.
And I don't know if I could just add really quickly. The great thing about marketing is knowing who your target audience is. Once you know, then you figure it out, because maybe your target audience isn't on Facebook, or it's not on Instagram, and it's not on TikTok. And the overall goal is always understanding that once you decide and find out what that game plan is, life just becomes easier. I think a lot of businesses get overwhelmed in I have to be on Facebook. I have to have this updated. I have to have this. And that's why sometimes marketing plays second fiddle when it comes to a business. But I think that the overall goal is, once you understand, create a game plan. And I always tell people, do it in phases. The main thing that you need to do is, the first thing is make sure that your website represents who you are. To Taylor's point, it's got the content, the information, it's got the call to action. But I think that with all of the information that we've been talking about, AI and automation, and talking about, SEO and just the value of, everybody has an opportunity to create something that works for them. They just can't feel overwhelmed thinking that they have to do everything, because I am not doing everything. I sit back and I think about, what do I need to post? So social media is not really, what the thing for me, but I do it. But I think it's because of a game plan, and I know where my customers are at. And I think that with all of this information that we've been providing with these, the workshops, the webinars, it's just to give people an idea to say, think, process, create a game plan, and then start implementing what makes sense for your business. But don't try to do it all, because if you do, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to throw in the towel and you're not going to do anything. But the overall goal is making sure that your business scales, and use this time to be creative.
Which is really goes back to what we're able to do for our clients at the SBDC, helping them to develop those strategies and implement the tactics that are going to work for them. And yes, marketing is a core function of a business. I thank you for all of the marketing advice that you've shared here today during our Power Hour. And our clients, prospective clients who are new to the SBDC, know how to reach out to us. And thank you for joining us for this conference, and being encouraged and getting the tools and resources you need to sustain the pivot. Taylor, Orlando, Kenny, again, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for the
Appreciate
opportunity.
it. Thank you. Great working with you, Taylor and Kenny.
Likewise.
Likewise.